All right. Thanks everybody for hopping on. October 28th. It's our favorite evening of the week because we get to be here with you guys. So we're going to, like every week, we are going to do some product training. Actually, a really cool testimony this week for the product highlight. And then the skill that we're going to cover is networking. And I am going to share a little bit about networking for introverts, if we have any of those on here. And then we will do some recognition and testimonies, and then we've got a lot of really cool announcements as well. So we are going to jump in.
Yes, hopefully.
If you're on, make sure that you mute yourself. Thanks.
I was really excited. We were going to have a testimony shared this week, and I'm just texting her because she's not on yet. So we may have to.
We can come back to that.
Yeah, come back to that. Yeah, we'll just come back to it. We'll dive into our business training first, and then we'll come back to the product training at the end.
Okay. So we're going to talk about networking. Like Kristen said, it was the number one requested topic that we train on these calls from you guys. So just like a little overview of what networking is, and then we'll dive into some practicals. So does anybody get on the Facebook Live today that Elise Shedevy and Emily Wright did? It was really awesome. You can probably find it somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's linked in our Facebook group.
Anyway, Emily said this, like it wasn't even about this, but she just kind of snuck it in there, and it really struck me. She said the reason we chose, meaning like she's a doTERRA founder, she started the company. She said the reason we chose a person-to-person model, meaning the network marketing model, is because essential oils are experiential. And what she meant by that is like it's when you give someone an essential oil experience, especially a high quality therapeutic grade essential oil, like there's an experience, something happens in your body that you probably weren't expecting if you're not familiar with essential oils. And the best way to teach people about those and introduce them to those is like from person to person.
Having somebody guiding you.
Yes. When they're just sitting on a shelf, it's like even when you walk into Whole Foods, the title above the essential oil section is fragrance. Like that's literally what it says. I took a picture because I thought it was funny. It says fragrance. But like, that's what we get to do as wellness advocates and ambassadors is help introduce people to essential oils, teach what they are, and give them an essential oil experience. So networking, here we go. For some, it comes more naturally than it does for others. For some, it takes a lot of work and effort, but it's required for all of us. If we're doing this business, this is a people business. And so we need to get really proficient at connecting with people, meeting people, and ultimately serving people and helping people. Usually, if you cringe at the word networking, I think that there's probably some mindset shifts that need to go on. And you just maybe need to be a little bit more intentional and think about it in a different way. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. But just to like jump out of the gate, meeting people is obviously not evil. Making money is not evil. Selling things is not evil. Serving people and helping people and exchanging goods for money is not evil. So networking is therefore not evil. It's actually really, really, really good.
So one thing I just wanted to interject for those of you that don't know Tyler or don't know him well, he is definitely an introvert, like very much so. If you know Enneagram, he's a 5, which they're like, they do not like to interact with people because people require energy.
Like to observe.
Yes, he likes to observe, like shift in the shadows. That would be his like natural state when he's around people.
That sounded creepy.
That does kind of sound creepy. But this last week, you guys all know he was gone, and he was in Budapest, and it was for stuff with Antioch for our church planting and the role he's going to have and everything. So when he went, he prepared ahead of time, and he like had all his oils and everything, and then he intentionally brought little sample containers and things that he knew people might need while he was there. And I like am so proud. I was actually going to talk about him during the recognition time because this is like super out of his comfort zone for a week long. Basically, they were like nonstop with people. And but the cool thing is he knows his strengths. So if you are an introvert and you are on this call, it's really important for you to know your strengths and know like what motivates you into certain situations. So like for Tyler, his strengths are all strategic thinking ones. They are not relational strengths except for one. He has one relational strength. That's the only reason he ever talks to people, I think. And his relational strength is connectedness. And connectedness is like you like seeing like the bridges and the connections between people, and like you don't believe in coincidences. There is no such thing. Yeah, is that how you would describe it?
Yeah.
And so when he was over there, because of his role, because he knows he's going to be supporting so many people there was like 70 people there?
There were 200
people
there.
Never mind. 200 people there. And one of his primary goals was to meet like every single person, right?
Well, everyone for our area.
Yeah, everyone for our area.
7, yeah, like 50
so that was one of his goals. And it is so funny, guys, because he is an introvert. And he's a 5, and he's withdrawn and all the things. He's a guy. But I think he shared more essential oil samples at that conference than what would have happened if I would have been there. Because his like introversion and his like lack of being like me disarms people. And they like, he's more approachable than I am. People are like afraid if they talk to me or something, like I'm going to hook them and sell them or something. So it takes more work for me in a different way. So all that to say, like everybody has like a different personality and a different strength, and the way you network is going to look so different. And ultimately, when we talk about networking, it really is about finding your comfort zone, your strengths, and then like living into them. And so, yeah, how many samples do you think you shared?
Oh.
Everybody was like, at the end, a bunch of people got sick and they were all coming to him. And he had actually said before this trip, he's like, remember we went on that mission trip one time and we were with the doctor and everybody went and asked the doctor all the questions? I want to be like that person, only the oil person on this trip. And I was like, you go, honey. And he totally was. And he's like a major introvert. So anyways, don't let that like title of introvert hold you back from rocking it and networking.
Yeah. Probably 12 to 15 samples.
Yeah.
But I didn't even think of them as samples. Like I had things and people wanted things. And so I gave them things to try.
And then wrote them all on a list.
Yes, and I made a list and we're going to follow up. Okay. Thank you for that. So do you have this pulled up? Can you put this link?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right now.
So I actually have a link to one of doTERRA's blog posts where they talk about networking for introverts.
Yeah. So like what Kristen said, if you are an introvert, like raise your hand if you would identify as an introvert. Me. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Check that out.
Okay. I got some of this. So maybe there's not so many out there. That's great. So Kristen's going to put a link. If you do happen to see, the introverts just aren't raising their hands.
Yeah, Christy is hiding behind
their
her screen.
screens off. Okay, so for you, there's an awesome blog post that doTERRA did about networking for introverts. The thing I really liked about it, it's like a whole long article. The thing I liked about it was it talked about networking with your strengths. And that's kind of what Kristen just alluded to, is like, I'm an introvert, but I know that people are important. So how can I connect with people, meet people, and
ultimately, one thing he had said before the call when we were preparing is we're all people, which means we're designed for relationship. And so view networking in your business as an opportunity to just get really good at relationship, and being intentional in that area.
Yeah.
To love on people and meet them and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So check out that article. We're done talking about introverts. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So next, we're going to talk about a names list, something that you've never heard of before.
So scary, guys, a names list.
Who is tired of hearing the term names list? Awesome.
Yeah, Michelle.
Within arm's reach.
Mm.
Okay, so we're going to talk about names list because it's really important. Boyd Truman once called it an active candidate list. So that's my preferred term for it. But when I say names list, everyone knows what we're talking about. So Boyd Truman, if you know the Symphony of the Cells book, he's the one that does that. He's been doing doTERRA for probably 10 years. And you think like if anyone didn't need a names list, it would be somebody that's Presidential Diamond and has been doing doTERRA for 10 years. But I promise you, everyone that's Presidential Diamond still has a names list or an active candidate list, because it's not just something you do once and then you're done. Like we are always doing this again and again because we're always meeting people and making connections with people and reconnecting with people that we haven't talked to in 8, 10, 12 years.
My names list is currently about 90 people long. And I know I could think of more. I just need more time working on it.
Yeah. So the reason that it's important, like if you read the build guide, the launch guide from doTERRA, it talks about like this is what it looks like, and then it ends with now here's a place to start writing names. The reason this is important is because one, we already talked about it. It's a people business. That's our job, is to be a wellness advocate for people that are in our communities and our families, our friends circles, our spheres. And the second thing is because it's not like this hit list type of thing. It literally is just to give us a roadmap on like who comes to mind, who's in our circles, who comes to mind that we want to serve and take care of. And it just gives us a roadmap for it. Like it's an organizational tool basically, so that we can start systematically contacting people that we care about and that we think would be interested in trying essential oils. So again, like I said, this isn't something that we do one and done. If you are somebody who is struggling to like get 100 names, or maybe you're going for like 200 names or 300 names, there's a few tips about the names list that we're going to talk about. So number one is, and this is, I think, the biggest limiting factor, is when you're making your names list, you can't predetermine if somebody might be interested in doTERRA or not. Like you have to put them on the list, because there's so many people over our years of doing this that we probably would have said like, oh, they'd never be interested in this. But it's because like they're people we haven't talked to in 8 years, and we have no idea what they're dealing with. We have no idea what their experience has been over the last 8 years. And it's like, oh, this person actually is really interested in like natural health, and they prefer natural methods, and they buy organic food and whatever. But the point is, we can't predetermine whether or not somebody should go on that list. The second thing is that can't predetermine. What was the second thing?
I think a lot of times when we write our names list, we stop from writing down certain names because we think in our head, like we get scared and we don't know how we would intro that conversation. So then we don't do it because we're like already like, no, I'm not going to ever reach out to them. So I'm not going to write it down.
Yeah.
I've done that before. Anybody else? Guilty?
Yeah. But the point of the list is like to put everyone down, and then like you can work through it over time. And then the third thing is, we've talked about this before, but with this names list, not that this is any kind of value statement on a person's life, but we talk about prioritizing the list for people that we think would be most receptive,
Mhm.
and most potentially a business partner with us. That's really what we're talking about. So when we talk about Elise Chedevy and her 7 qualities of like ranking the people on her list, what that means is those 7 qualities are the people that are most likely to partner with us. And we've talked about what those 7 things are on other calls. We're not going to dive into that deep right
And
now.
Elise has a call on it.
Yes. Do you want to write DMC 4 and 5 in the chat?
Yeah.
So we're going through and prioritizing who are those that are scoring a 5 or 6 or a 7, meaning they most likely align with those character qualities or those experiences or that stage of life that we want to reach out to those people first. Like we only have so many hours in the day, so we want to make sure and for sure reach out to those people. And then obviously we're not like ignoring the rest of our list.
Mm-hmm. And I think one thing that's important to acknowledge here is that if, like, I've heard of people writing their list and not having people that rate a 5, 6, or 7 on their list. So just an important thing to acknowledge there is if you don't have people that are a 5, 6, or 7 on your list, then start surrounding yourself with those people and go places where those people are.
Yeah.
Because it will help you in your growth of your business.
Yeah.
So now, did you want to say something else?
I did. Yeah. So
Tyler's jet lagging, y'all.
Yeah. So like Kristen just said, like strategically think about surrounding yourself with people that are like more bent towards being 5, 6s, or 7s. Mm-hmm. And also where you have like commonalities. This is kind of another like introvert thing. It's easier to go somewhere and meet people when you know you're going to have something in common, or like you go somewhere regularly, so you're familiar with the environment, you're familiar with the people. Like I go to the same coffee shop all the time, even though there's lots of coffee shops in Waco. I go to the same one because I know the baristas, I know the people I'm going to see there, and then every once in a while, like I meet new people also.
So we're going to transition into talking about specific ways to network. And so these are just going to be in list fashion. And then I'm going to suggest to you some of Elise's calls from the Daily Mentor Calls website. If you aren't familiar with those, we have information about it all on the Wellness Leaders page, and the link is there. So the first one would be the most obvious one, which is sampling people on your names list. And so I really encourage you guys, I even myself am choosing to step into the fear. I've enrolled like 250 people and I rewrote my names list. I'm ranking it tomorrow and I am going to step into contacting those people, which it's like one of the hardest things for me. I am really good at meeting lots of people and finding needs and enrolling those people on a regular basis. I enroll multiple people every single month, but it's hard for me to specifically contact people on my names list. And I want to grow in that because I know that there are 5, 6, and 7s on my list that I'm avoiding. And ultimately, I think the reason I've avoided it to this point is because I've not been comfortable. I didn't know a plan for how I would reach out to them. And I love Elise's Daily Mentor Calls because if you watch for this specifically, Daily Mentor Calls 6, 7, 8, and 9, she talks about the sampling process. She gives you scripts for all different types of people. And they're really, really helpful. And I just encourage you, like Amber Byers had written all the scripts into that document. Take that document, copy it to your own thing, and then rewrite the scripts a little bit to make them sound like you, so you feel comfortable with them, and just like engage that process instead of letting that mind block stop you from being like, no, I'm not going to just reach out to this person I haven't talked to in 7 years. Instead, just allow yourself to think, like, if I were to reach out to that person I went to college with, what would be a way that I would maybe feel comfortable in it and I would like feel like I could bless them. And if they said no, I would be fine with it. It would be not a big deal. So that's the first one, is sampling as networking. And one other thing that's really cool, I like that Elise shares in the Daily Mentor Calls is on Daily Mentor Call 34, she talks about doing an essential oil study, which I think is really cool and genius. basically you have your names list, right? And you have, say, 20 people, and you contact all of them and you ask them if they would like to be a part of an essential oil study group that you're doing. And in your study group, they get a free sample, and then they have to attend a class. There's all these like very clear outline that Elise has, but basically you give somebody a sample then, and your leeway into it is inviting them to do the essential oil study. She actually like created this when she was in Europe, and it just like exploded the confidence of her builders because it helped them find a new way that they felt really good about reaching out to people. So again, that's Daily Mentor Call 34. And on that call, she has a link to Kyle Kirschbaum's scripts. So all the scripts are there too. Next one would be finding referrals. And so Elise Chedevy takes an approach that I've never seen before, and she actually talks about making a different type of list. And this type of list is where you make a list of 100 of the most influential people you know, basically people that know a lot of people. And she gives you scripts for reaching out to those people and asking them for referrals, either for referrals of people that they think would enjoy doing the business with you, or people that would enjoy using doTERRA. Yeah, she lays it all out there. So Tyler just posted the Daily Mentor Call, but it's number 36. And then the other one that's just really, it can be so legendary when you master it, is booking classes from a class. So if you are somebody that's having classes regularly, it is a skill you just have to master, because when you master booking a class from your class, it will change everything in your business, and it will help you explode past your warm market or your own names list. So the thing to remember though, when you book a class, it doesn't necessarily make it easier. Like, it's not just like, oh, I booked a class and now the hostess is going to do all the work for me. And that's what I love that Elise walks through. She talks about in Daily Mentor Call 25 and 29, she talks about how to book a class from a class, or how to book a class from a membership overview. And then in Daily Mentor Call 41, she talks about how to actually work with that hostess to help them sample these people before they even get to the class, which I have never done before, but I can see where that would be legendary. So, and I plan to do that in the future. So anyways, she like gives all the details on how to do it. She gives a little sample keychain to people if they agree to host a class, and she gives all those details in the calls. But those are all examples of ways that you can network. I don't think networking always has to be this thing of like, oh, I'm going to plan extra time in my schedule to go to this other place that I don't normally go to meet more people. The reality is so many of us know a lot of people in our current circles. And if we just ask the right questions and love them well, like you guys all have relationships that are built on trust, and they understand your heart. And if they would misjudge you for something, then that's their own problem. Like because you guys know your heart and you have great heart. So anyways, all ideas on how to network. So now we're going to transition quick to the product testimony. Cheryl is on here, I think. Oh.
We're going to do it next time.
Oh, we're going to do it next time. Okay, sorry. We'll do it next time. Did you message? Yeah. Oh, she said that. Okay. So for recognition and testimonials, first off, Amelia Morovitz from South Dakota went to the Together tour all the way in Minneapolis and invited her cousin, and her cousin enrolled at the tour. So awesome.
Awesome.
Really strategic and smart and so good. Amelia didn't get to go to convention, so amazing. And then I wanted to have Emily share a little bit. Emily Wolf is on the call. Basically Emily, I talked about it last week. She has 7 people in a current oil camp that we're running. And we have probably like 15-ish people that are so engaged. Yeah, Sandy's in it. It's so fun. And everybody's like having all these great takeaways and getting so empowered with their oils. I'm like re-falling in love with oil camp. I'm like, this is why we do oil camp. So anyways, I wanted to have Emily share because she, I think, just naturally fell into inviting people and getting them to actually engage really naturally. And I wanted her to share just like a few of the specific things that she did to help her enrollments see the value of Oil Camp, like how she invited them and stuff like that. So Emily's going to share for just a couple of minutes here.
Hi. So within starting Oil Camp, I feel like I reached out to people that had gotten a kit pretty like right before Oil Camp. So they were like excited. They got something, they're excited about it. And so I wanted to follow up and invite them into Oil Camp. And I feel like that's really important because right when they get their kit, they are very excited. And so you want to like play on that momentum and get them like really excited. And so basically I just reached out and said, hey, I'd like to follow up with you on your oils. I know that you got them in and we talked about them and met up and stuff. And there's this thing called Oil Camp. And I really feel like it would like empower you and give you confidence to learn about the products that you purchased. And anyone that buys stuff, they want to know about it because basically it seems like a waste of money if they don't. So they're like, yeah, they're engaged because they want to learn about something that they put money forward.
Emily,
so
did you have those conversations in person or on the phone, or did you text?
It depends. Yeah, it depends on the person.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, so there was a few people that in person we did, and I've been trying to like put that in my welcome email about Oil Camp, so they already like know about it. I've already mentioned it, and it kind of briefly explained it.
Okay.
But I feel like in person is very powerful, but I have sent out like a text too, just saying like along the same lines that I just want to empower them and give them confidence. And anytime someone feels like you want to help them like gain more knowledge, I feel like they're like, oh yeah, all about that because you want to help them. And so also we forget that we're like in this natural health community all the time, and we forget that like other people are on like level 1 like they have no idea. So like the thought of like someone introducing something that could help them and get them to like know more about their essential oils, they're actually like, yeah, that's what I want to do because I don't know anything. And so I've gotten so many thank yous from it. And this is Kristen and Tyler's Oil Camp, but they're like, this is so fun and I'm learning so much. And it is actually like catapulting them to like self-teach themselves now, because now they feel like really empowered and they know like about a few oils and they see how easy it is. And so they're like texting me, like several of them daily, just like, I did this today and this, and I added this, and now I'm doing this. And I'm like, that's amazing. Like they're just super empowered to like move forward and they're excited. And that's really good. So you keep feeding off of it, which is good.
So one other question. You said that people that you invited a lot of them bought the ingredients that are listed on Oil Camp to create during Oil Camp, or they bought the spray bottles and stuff like that. How did that happen? Did they just look at the event and then they decided to do that, or you talked to them about that after they said they were going to attend it?
So I have, again, with different people, some of them I have a video like chat that we get on kind of like this, except for I'm just recording. And so I shared all that and like kind of what's in Oil Camp, and the responses, they were like, yeah, that's something I'd like to do. I'm a like over communicator. So like sometimes people probably are like, oh my gosh, that's too much information. But I like over communicate and
walk them through it, hold their hand.
Yes, I make sure they like know exactly, like this is what you can expect. And so they
that's so good.
Yeah, then a lot of them actually were like, yes, that's what I'd like to do. How do I do that? And so then I would give them the websites or different things, and so they're excited to do that, which some of those surprised me too, but I just act really excited with them. I'm like, yes, that's awesome.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Emily. Yeah, I know our team will continue to love Oil Camps and all the options that there are. So Okay, so the next person I wanted to have briefly share is Michelle Shetty. You probably saw in the Facebook group, she enrolled 2 people with a Natural Solutions kit. And prior to that, earlier this month, I like went back in the feed and I saw that she had shared that she was really excited because she had just texted like 34 people and like done all these other forms of communicating to people. And then what do you know, a couple weeks later, she ends up enrolling 2 people with the Natural Solutions kit. So I just wanted her to share what motivated her and what got her like into the zone to just like go and do it. Like we've talked about like having a text blitz with yourself on a regular basis, and I wanted her to share like what that was for her that got her motivated to go do it. And then she obviously saw incredible results as she like stepped into that. So
okay. Well, I actually I didn't do it all as a text. I did a lot of them as emails too. But I've done quite a few vendor events now where I've met a lot of people. And then I honestly, I'm not going to speak as well as Emily did, but I have not lost momentum on how much I love oil since day one. And to be honest, a year and a half ago, I had never even heard of essential oils. Yeah. So I loved what she said about self-educating, and Melissa helped empower me in that way. And I just blossom from there. And really, I feel like we almost have like a joyful obligation to share these things because I know that it's helped us genuinely, and it's helped my husband too. And that really supports me in this, because if he didn't believe and I did, then it would just kind of be like, like it's just not as fun. But when you're in it together and he believes too, and I really trust his judgment, then it just makes me want to share with other people. And I'll tell you, I've had rejections too, and I feel like if it's not a hard no, then it's a maybe, and I had, Sherry is one of the ones that signed up. She got the kit, and I'm going to cry. Oh my gosh. Okay. I have asked her to everything for like a year and a half, and she's never said one word to me at all, and we have a ministry in town, and every year we have a Spark in the Park event, and her husband have helped in certain ways. But other than that, we've never had a conversation. Anyway, so she came to the Pet Expo, and everything flowed so beautifully. And the reason it did was because I love the oils, and because I have been researching, and I had the answers on my lips, and I was prepared to give the answers to the questions that she had. And that alone, in just that 5 to 7 minute conversation, must have been just what she needed to hear to be inspired to have a sit down with me and chat. And one of the things that she put down was that she wanted to feel pretty. And I said, I'm sorry. I said, I know exactly how she feels. And I said, we can't go back and change what we did before, but we can just change from here forward. And I said, if we have, change our gut health, if we start working on ourselves the best we can, you're going to have no choice but to feel pretty, because it's not all about this outward appearance. It's about how we feel on the inside. And I said, these things, the more healthy we get, just the better we feel. And we're going to be pretty on the inside out. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, Sorry.
Wow, that is amazing, Michelle. Thank you so much for sharing. And I love like how that's like such a prime example of how when you first reached out to her, you could have like been assuming all the things that she was thinking about you when she didn't respond. Who's done that? But you just like kept loving on her, and you knew that with time things would turn around. And then you met her at the Pet Expo, and then it like turned into so much more. It's not like, we all know it's never just doTERRA. Like it always is so much more than we get to do through our jobs and what we do through doTERRA. So wow, that's really powerful. And thank you so much for being such a light and loving your people so well.
Thank you.
It's amazing. So yes, we're running a little bit over, but last thing to do is share the reminders.
Yeah, we'll do reminders, and then we'll wrap up the recording. And then if you have questions, we can stick around for as long as you guys want, and we'll do some Q&A. So some of these are just like quick reminders, but the convention and Empowered Success recordings from convention expire at the end of this month. So if you are still wanting to go back on and watch some of those sessions and the business training from convention a month and a half ago, you've got like 4 days left, three days left to do that. The 200 PV promo is still going for a few more days until the end of the month. So
one quick thing specifically about that, I think probably everybody on this call knows, but we're doing a Zoom call on Wednesday night that's all about the new products from convention that you can invite your team to. It will not be recorded because we're going to be non-compliant.
Extremely non-compliant.
Share all the juicy details about the convention products, but it's from 8:15 to 9 p.m. Central Time. And that's something you can invite your entire team to. And then if they they're super excited, they can still purchase the convention kit that night or the next day and get the 200 PV promo before the end of the month. So just wanted to share that with the promo.
Enrollment kits are getting overhauled. They kind of tweak them every year after convention. They tweak them every year. And we don't know I guess we know the Natural Solutions kit, which I'm actually really pumped about the changes in the Natural Solutions kit. It will have the shampoo and conditioner in there, which I think is huge. But we don't know the rest of the changes as of right now.
Wow, that's cool, Stacy. Orders can be combined for a 200 PV promo. Cool.
So like if they already placed a 100 PV order, they could place another 100.
Wow.
And get
they just have to call customer service, Stacy? Yeah, that's good to know. That's how you got your 1,500, isn't it? You're so genius. I love it.
But yeah, they can get on live chat or call in.
Okay,
awesome.
Cool. Yeah. So if you're working on Power of Three stuff before the end of the month, you can still have those conversations and people can place a second order and get their 200 PV promo free oils before the end of the month. And it can help you with your Power of Three if you're having those conversations strategically. So then the last couple things is, number one, the cleanse is just about finished. So I would really encourage you guys to all go back in the cleanse group and scroll to the very beginning. And if you don't remember off the top of your head, if you had team members in it, go back and look. And if you had people that you've enrolled that did the cleanse, make sure you have a conversation and help lead them and guide them to the steps that they will do after the cleanse that still support them in their goals and seeing the results that they want. And then lastly, Alicia Devi, we talked about her live that she did, her first Facebook Live ever. So funny. She's a triple diamond. Crazy. And she shared with Emily Wright today about the training they're doing in Salt Lake City on January 7th, 8th, and 9th. That is called Back to the Basics. And then on January 10th, Elise is going to be doing a mind-blowing strategies to rank advance event. That's for people that have hit Premier, Silver, or Gold. And then the next day she's doing another strategies for ranking advance event for platinum and above. So all that to say, if any of you guys are thinking about going, make sure you reach out and contact me even before the end of tonight, because we are going to pick out a Airbnb tomorrow and just have a little LDC hangout for sure. Gretchen, Carol, and I. Message me. And then if you want to go to the Back to the Basics event, then we'll make sure to include you on the Airbnb so we can get good pricing for housing. And that's it. So I'm going to stop the recording.